Okay, now the pen is working. So okay, so let's continue with the session. I'm really very sorry for the inconvenience. I'll report it to Yuraj, okay? So that we'll not face this issue again. So it's been happening for the second or third time now, I guess. Okay, so here we have this particular function. We have this equation that needs to be implemented programmatically, right? N factorial. We are trying to find out the n factorial. Okay, so we know what is n factorial. N into n minus 1, 3, 2, 1. Right? So that is implemented using a function which is calling itself. This is called as recursive function. Recursive function or method. Okay, recursive function or method. So why do we call this as recursive method? Because this function is calling itself. Okay, this function takes an integer as parameter. We are passing that integer as parameter. As we discussed, there should be an if condition to come out of this recursive function without calling the function. Okay, without calling this function. So here what is happening, when the value of I'll come to you, Pawan. Okay, so recursive function, when when the if condition says when n is equal to 1, you return 1. So we are returning from the function or method being called to the method that is calling this particular function. Okay, here we are calling it. This is the function that is our method that is called. Okay, so what exactly is happening? So when n is equal to 1, like we mentioned here, so when n is equal to 1, what happens? We will come to this particular inside. We will come inside this particular method, and first thing is we will check the condition whether n is equal to 1 or not. If n is equal to 1, what we are doing? We are returning 1, the value 1. That is what gets printed in this particular statement. Okay. So when n is equal to 2, what happens? Okay. So when n is equal to 2, this will be 2. N is equal to 2. Okay. So the condition, if condition fails, is false. So what are we returning? We are returning 2 into factorial of 2 minus 1. Okay, but here we are calling factorial. So what should be the result of this one? This is 1, right? So what are we returning? 2 star 1. 2 into 1, 2 multiplied by 1. Okay, so that is we are returning 2. So that is what is the result of this one. Let us see when n is equal to 3. Okay, when n is equal to 3, what happens? It comes here. We will it comes to this particular statement. So 3 into factorial of 3 minus 1. Okay, this is 3 into factorial of is like this one, 3 into 2 into factorial of 2 minus 1. 3 into 2 into 1, because 1 factorial of 1 returns 1. Okay, so final result will be 3 into 2 into 1. Okay, so this will be 6. In case of 4, what happens? 4 into factorial of 4 minus 1. Okay, so since this is calling itself, this becomes 4 into 3 into factorial of 3 minus 1. Okay, this is 4 into 3 into 2 into factorial of 2 minus 1. At this point, it returns 1. So the result is 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So 24 is the answer. That is how the recursive functions work. Okay. So what is the main thing that needs to be remembered here? We must have an if condition to come out of the recursive function. So what is exactly happening? The if condition should return to the function which is calling the recursive function without executing this particular function itself, without executing itself, without calling itself, recursive function itself. Okay, that is why this is very important. If condition must be there. Okay, so there is another series which can be kind of like implemented using this particular recursive function, that is Fibonacci series, right? Fibonacci series. So that all of you can try to implement this Fibonacci series, which is nothing but it starts with 0, then 1, 0 plus 1, 1, 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 2, 5. It goes on. Okay, for a particular number, you can try to implement this logic. For a particular number, you can try to implement the logic using recursive functions. Okay, using recursive functions. Try to do that, and you will understand what exactly. So what Pawan was asking. So Pawan was asking, can all the loops called as recursive? No, we are not talking about loops here, right? We are not talking about loops here. So are we using any loop here? We are not at all using any loop here, right? So for example, for int I is equal to 0, something. Okay, and loops, why do we execute loops? Set of statements for number of times. Here also we are executing this particular statement for number of times. That number of times is determined by this particular condition. But this is not exactly a loop, right? We are calling the same thing within same thing. We are calling this particular function. A function is calling itself. A function is calling itself within its code. This for loop is not a function, right? Or method. For loop is not a method or function, right? But here what the concept here is a method calling itself is called as recursion, right? Got it, Pawan? And the factorial of 0, will be, it will not enter at all. What is factorial of 0? Krishna, Hari. What is factorial of 0? It's one, right? And I'm poor at mathematics. That's why I'm asking you. One more. Give me a second. What is output is equal to 1 in the comment? Okay, 1 minute. Let me execute this particular. I think this control again froze. Not able to do anything here. It's writing, but this GoToTraining control is again not responding. I'm really sorry. Okay, let me call, be in this call. Let me call Yuvraj and talk to him, okay? Let me try to, okay, I don't want to find this. Okay, I'll just disconnect myself and I'll try to log in again. Please be in the call, okay?